Since ancient time, ghosts that exist in this world are divided into two types. The first is that humans, after death, do not accidentally leave but continue to wander around in the world, and the second types, after death, dies because of hatred, and turns into a monster. It eats wandering ghosts to increase its strength. These people are called Holongs. They often hide and rarely dare to come out for fear of being destroyed by the god of death. However, in recent years, the monsters. This horror object appears more and more often because they hear that if they can absorb a person's soul, they will become invincible, and at that time, death is just a flash of electricity to them and the person with the power, ultimate that is Ichigo, a high school student. Since birth, Ichigo has possessed yin and yang eyes, so he can see things that normal people cannot see. Therefore, Ichigo is very active in helping the wandering ghosts let go. He left his regrets and reincarnated into another life. Today, he attacked Nia Heap and beat the lives of the gangster in the village of Upbo Suangruang, but it turned out that they accidentally bumped into the boy ghost, causing the flower vase to fall to the ground even though they weren't there. Seeing the boy, they didn't understand why they were beaten, but they still had to kneel down and apologize to deal with the rogues. Ichigo helped the boy pick up the flowers and then brought him back to the world of those who had killed him. He disappeared back home. The male lead suddenly discovered a strange girl rushed into the room. Before he could ask, she suddenly pulled out her sword and pointed it straight at him, but it was to slash the ghost behind Ichigo. It turned out that Rukia was originally a Grim Reaper who specializes in capturing souls on Earth and returning them to the underworld. Normal people cannot see her at all. At this moment, Rukia Compass announced that a giant demon was coming. Thanks to Ichigo's help, many reincarnated ghosts caused the Hom demon to lose their food and clothes, so they angrily came here to take revenge, and before they could react, they broke through the wall and took Ichigo's little sister away. The male protagonist was not afraid at all. Scared, she quickly grabbed a baseball bat to chase the monster, but unfortunately, it stomped her face into the flower pot. Seeing that, Rukia immediately flew to slash Hollow Arm and Ichigo quickly caught his sister. However, the cut was just right. Then it's just that compared to burning electric poles, it turns out that because Ichigo's spiritual energy is so strong, the temples are so thirsty for him that they are like eating Tang Monk. As long as they can absorb Ichigo's soul, it will become extremely strong. Fortunately, Rukia was able to stop it in time before it grabbed Ichigo, but the beauty was caught by it and ready to be devoured, forcing Rukia to use all her strength to hit the monster away. But the force was too great, causing her to throw the whole line of them down to the ground, seriously injured. If the hollow came back, Rukia would not be able to defend anymore. Suddenly, she thought of a way, by plunging her sword into Ichigo's heart, making him a god, died because only the god of death can destroy monsters. At this time, the hollow also woke up and prepared to rush into the situation. It was so urgent that Ichigo had no choice but to stab the sword straight into his heart. In the blink of an eye, the hollow was killed. I asked for a light arm because of its great spiritual energy, Ichigo Divine Sword was also abnormal large. With just one slash, it split the monster into 2 equal parts. The next morning, Ichigo suddenly woke up in bed. I thought that what just happened was just a dream, but when I looked at the hole in the wall, I realized it was real. My father and sister thought it must have been some monster driver who crashed into the wall. Later, Ichigo still came. School is as usual. But today class has a new transfer student, Rukia, yesterday girl, because she passed on the power of the Reaper to Ichigo. Rukia cannot temporarily return to the Rukia world to use it. The special gloves knocked Ichigo's soul out of his body, then used a large, fiery sword to stab his heart to regain his Shinigami powers, but after stabbing him, nothing happened. Revealing his current spiritual power, Ichigo's strength is too low so it cannot be passed on to her. Now the only way is to destroy the hollow to increase his ability until he has enough strength, then pass it on to Rukia later. So the beauty began training the male protagonist in fighting skills. Ichigo is still in green, so he eats mainly from early morning until late afternoon, always having a full meal, and being hit by Rukia wearing a skirt, riding on his head, riding his neck, and opening his entire body at the same time in the spirit world of the team captain. The 6 Kuchiki ordered their subordinates to find and kill Rukia because if the god of death passed on his power to a human, he would be executed immediately. Xian red-haired Rennie came to the twilight of the world. Ichigo wanted to beg for the male lead life at ease just in time for 1,000 pounds. People were hanging armpit hair when an arrow of light suddenly flew towards the rescue. Unfortunately, this arrow of light scared the god of death so Chewing quickly took off his pants and ran away. The person who saved Ichigo's life was his friend wearing glasses. He took off the bracelet and gently pulled it. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a magical bow with amazing power. It turns out that Yida belongs to the Exterminator clan, a master who specializes in hunting for a long time. He always wants to defeat the gods of death to prove his ability. Because of his strength, he came here to challenge Ichigo, even though Ichigo explained that he was still young and green. But the opponent refused to listen because he let the male lead reveal his original form as a reaper. He crushed a collection badge, attracting the surrounding hollow to came here. Rukia immediately felt her rush to strike the god of death inside Ichigo because this was an opportunity for him to kill the monster and increase their strength. So Ichigo and the girl grabbed a sword and rushed forward. Just in time to see the ghost of the boy being called out to chase him, Ichigo fiercely grabbed the sword and slashed. He didn't expect to be beaten to death by a spider goblin. As expected, 8 legs must be stronger than 2 legs. Then, right at the moment of danger, there was a silhouette of a clean figure flying through this hollow-colored slash. It turned out to be Xian with red hair. He rushed forward, wanting to test Ichigo's strength. As expected, the male lead was beaten to the ground. Fortunately, Rukia stood up to stop it, otherwise the movie would end soon. At this time, the captain of the Grim Reaper of the Friday team also appeared. She knew that if she forced him to take it back, it would be difficult for Ichigo body to bear it. Rukia begged her brother, and so Kuchiki made a condition. If he could destroy the legendary Hollow Grand Fissure, he would forgive him. The two of them, because Rukia saved Ichigo's life, decided to risk his life to fight the legendary Hollow. During his training, Ichigo accidentally learned that the Grand Fissure was the one who killed his mother that year. This made him even more vulnerable, made him practice hard not only to prove himself to death but also to be determined to avenge his mother, practicing from morning to night non-stop, sitting with Rukia at night and drawing 7 colored rabbits like that. The two of them practice every day. Thanks to that, Ichigo's soul power has increased a lot. He can slash targets at a distance without having to get close. But the captain of Team 6 only sees Ichigo as prey. When Grand Fissure arrives, Xian Red Hair will kill both that Hollow and the other two because he realized that his sister seemed to have feelings for the flesh-eyed earthling, which is a big no-no for a god of death. The next day, Ichigo's whole family went up the mountain to visit their mother grave because it was so different that his twin sisters wanted to ask him to run by water. At that moment, a little girl wearing a white shirt appeared right in front of the male lead two younger sisters. She did not speak. Instead, she just put her hands on her face and cried bitterly. On the other side of Rukia Compass, she immediately announced that Grand Fissure had appeared. Ichigo's kind sister came to ask what was going on, but the other side immediately transformed into a monster until Ichigo and Rukia when they got there. In front of them was the Grand Fissure who appeared only every 100 years. Rukia saw this and quickly knocked out the god of death inside Ichigo. The male lead quickly grabbed a sword and rushed forward to kill and repel the Grand Fissure. But the monster playing dirty, he transformed into his form in the blink of an eye, causing Ichigo to fall into virtual memories of his mother, who slowly approached and intended to eat Tang Monk. Fortunately, Rukia promptly awakened Ichigo. At this time, Grand Fissure also showed his true form, but the ugly monster didn't bother to fight. Instead it rushed straight into the crowded city. Normal people couldn't see it, so they just thought it was a fierce storm. Ichigo immediately chased after him and fought fiercely for the male protagonist, possessing very strong spiritual energy hidden in his body. As long as he has his soul, its power will increase many times, so he stripped Ichigo to pieces, threw him here and there. He only knew, while blocking the attack, he ran away, losing his pants. This epic battle left the streets in ruins. Ichigo was quickly controlled by the Grand Fissure. Even the huge, fiery sword could not resist the monster claws. When in danger, a light arrow shot through Grand Fissure arm. It turned out that Isid had put aside his hatred for the Shinigami and returned to help the male protagonist. He shot arrows continuously from afar, allowing Ichigo to rush into close combat. This perfect combination really made Grand Fissure angry. He took a deep breath and then transformed into a larger and violent tentacle. His tentacles clamped tightly onto Ichigo and punched him into the bus, forcing him into a precarious situation. Armpit saw that the opportunity had come and Ishida shot an arrow straight into Grand Fissure eye, thanks to which Ichigo successfully escaped. He then gave a fatal blow to the weak point on its head, and this slash was in retaliation, revenge for his mother. Finally, the male protagonist has defeated the legendary Grand Fissure, which no death god has been able to kill in 500 meters this year. But before everyone can rejoice, red-haired Xian appears with a sword slash through his chest. Ishida, it turns out the captain of the 6th Division and his subordinates have no intention of keeping their promise. Kuchiki gave her sister one last chance to kill Ichigo and return to being a Reaper, but because she already loved Ichigo, Rukia couldn't. There was no other way to do that, so he had to order red-haired Xian to take action. So Ichigo decided to fight a survival match with this red-haired Xian but against among the real Reapers. It not easy. Ichigo is very fast. He was knocked back behind the machine. It's too slow. Kid, this insult unintentionally caused Ichigo to unleash his power and slash furious. Even though he hadn't been a Shinigami for long, Ichigo talent is not average. A moment later, he beat red-haired Xian to the point of breathing like a kikiki. Right at this moment, he unleashed the strongest move that had been practiced for 2000 years. His weapon also transformed into a very strange shape. Thanks to that, the situation was once again reversed. Xian's sword, the red hair transformed into flexibly, causing Ichigo to be blown into a pile of rubble. He sent another car for Ichigo explode, then looked the cold good and planned to finish Rukia unexpectedly. Instead of the god of death, Ichigo revived from the pile of ashes with outstanding strength. Just one simple slash hit Xian. The red hair flew into the bus, even his sword like a halo was broken in half. Right at this moment, the captain of the 6th squad appeared. Ichigo, not knowing his strength, just rushed forward with a large, fiery sword that he only needed 2 fingers to block, then swung the sword quickly and slashed across Ichigo's body. The male protagonist was still determined, stood up and played dry. As expected of a captain, the Grim Reaper action were truly amazing. His strength was completely superior to that of normal Grim Reapers. It is that today Kuchiki encountered the main character. No matter how bad the movie is, he still risks his life to stand up at all costs. Ichigo must try his best to protect Rukia. Perhaps the greatest strength in the world is still the power of will and belief. That is the power without anything. Can you defeat the Kuchiki who is determined to deliver the final fatal blow? Will this time bring Ichigo to the altar to see the naked? Bro, I'm still alive because of this. You can't kill my Rukia, so strong that the red-haired Xian had to obey. Even the captain of the 6th squad was surprised when Kuchiki was about to ask for Ichigo head to be gentle, when Rukia promptly appeared and kicked him away and begged her brother to spare them both. The way to live. Finally, thanks to the sincerity that moved Kuchiki mind, he gave Ichigo the opportunity to pass on the power of the Shinigami to Rukia. Although it very sad, we really can't be together, Rukia. The sword in Ichigo's hand stabbed straight into his heart. Finally, the power of the god of death returned to its owner and Ichigo had all his memories of the past erased. But really, the male lead cannot be erased. This is the end of the movie. Hello and see you again everyone.